Hey, what is up, everybody? Thanks for joining on another edition of the Teen It Up podcast. I'm your host, AC, with DFS Karma and Bet Karma, and I have my co-host, Sam Sherman. We're doing this one in audio-only version today. Had a little technical difficulties, but that's okay. Everything will still be blasted everywhere, of course. You can find all of our weekly content at dfskarma.com as well as betkarma.com. This week we are headed to Detroit, making a little bit of a swing back to the Midwest at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. We'll get into all the bets, all the DFS plays, but as always, we kind of like to start off this podcast, talking about last week a little bit, for better or worse, talk about some of our sweats, some of the tilts. With that being said, I always do. I start with Sam. Sam, how was your week both in DFS? How was it in betting? And of course, what was your actual, 10,000-foot view of the tournament itself last week? I don't know how much you got to watch of it.
Yeah, I watched a good amount. First, dude, we continue to ride our heater at Bet Karma. I feel like not that we were the only ones on DJ. I saw so many screenshots all over Twitter and everything, but that was like, we knew the win was coming. I feel like other people, he just was too good to have not won. So that was good. I got wrecked in DFS because that cut was absolutely brutal, dude. I saw it moving to -4. I was like, this is going to take me out of just about everything. But on the bright side, like I always say, at least when all my shit's dead on Friday, I don't have to really sweat anything. So I was able to enjoy it. I was just rooting for DJ. I won some money back in Showdown, but other than that, it was a great tournament. People were saying, that it was kind of sad to see, honestly, that Brendan Todd just completely collapsed, because I felt bad. It was such a brutal Sunday. Zero birdies.
You knew it was happening. Come on.
Yeah, we knew he was gonna fold, but that triple was hard to watch. But I don't know. How was your week on the DFS side of things?
Yeah, DFS was great. I've been pretty hot post-COVID. I had a pretty decent run pre-COVID, I guess, too. It's almost like impossible to remember life before pre-COVID, but you were mega hot on the betting side, and I've kind of curtailed that post-COVID on the betting side. And, to kind of put a nail in the coffin talking about our DJ bet, I gave the picks literally like I do every week in the Bet Karma Discord. You can access that. Just hop on over to the website. Pretty user-friendly to figure out how to jump in there. But in full disclosure, there's, of course, some industry guys like Mayo and those guys that were on DJ, which of course you see a lot of the wins. But, the one thing Sam and I do a good job of, and personally, I think I've gotten better in my career with my DFS play and my betting play. I try to get on my picks early. Sam, we were riding DJ last week before anyone else was. So I do tend to almost tail myself on guys that were right there and just didn't get over the hump. And, most of our picks, our plays are done Monday on the betting side of things, nice and early. I don't like to listen to anyone at this point and get things mixed and matched as far as betting goes. DFS, unfortunately, you've been on the short end of this since COVID, I guess, in cash games. But, I had 4-6. I didn't think it was great. I was golfing Friday, and then I cannot believe the cut got to 4. I was anticipating 3, and I knew my lineup. Of course, I didn't realize DJ was going to win at the time. I knew I was going to be probably okay in 4 or 6. I didn't realize I had a huge advantage. By the time I drove home, I was like, wait a second, the cut's 4? So it just goes to show you, these are some things we've talked about with the new rules this year. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but the fact that there are less people that make that cut, it is a big deal for DFS. So you've done a good job in your content stressing to people, you just cannot freak out having these weeks at 3-6, 4-6. I think we're just entering a new era in cash games. I'm sure there's going to be weeks where a lot of the chalk hits, and who knows, maybe this week you will need 6-6 to cash. This is a weaker field. We'll get into that. Of course, we've always had great tilts in our Discord chat. Honestly, it's just fun. Some people had some big lineups in the runnings this past weekend. Again, we talked early last week. If you're making 20 lineups, get in that $3. That looks to be the best tournament on DraftKings, the $3 20 max entry, and it does fill up. If you wait till later in the week, I had a couple lineups in the race. I had a couple fill lineups, which is funny. How did Matt rebuttal me in Discord. I think he said something where I quoted like, you have to make uncomfortable plays in GPPs, and that's something I'm going to continue to stress this week. I'll probably, as always, play 2 main tournament rosters in addition to my main roster, and we'll move forward with that. My thoughts real quick on the tournament. DJ, yes, he's the man. You know, we were kind of tailing that for a little bit. We saw it, and frankly, going into Sunday, it was one of the weirdest. The DJ with Hovland, excuse me, just getting ahead of myself. I was a little nervous about him, and that was my, biggest takeaway of last week. Is I felt you and I both probably just it's not that we overlooked him. We both knew he was a great play. I mean, sometimes I think you have to play the good chalk. That was a big mistake. I mean, I was toying with playing with him in my main 11. I don't know why I didn't. I got a little bit too high on the Neiman. Neiman made the cut, but he really fizzled over the weekend. I mean, he did absolutely nothing, and I ended up choosing Neiman myself. I should have had both, to be honest. So that was a huge mistake. The fact that I might pay up, which could be another mistake at 10K this week for Hovland in cash. We'll see. So awesome tournament. Look forward. I think this tournament, and I'll go right back to you before we get into the players. To me, this seems like a tournament that is going to set up eerily similar to the last couple. I mean, when I look at the layout, I mean, the fairway, if you see the rough, dude, on the weekend, I don't care how good you are. That's 4 inches. I mean, this is getting a little thick this time of year. It's hot out. What are you looking at as far as the course setup, and what type of player are we going to be, looking for this week? And then we'll get into the plays. What do people actually want?
Yeah, I mean, we saw there's only 1 year of data, so it's always hard to kind of gather from just 1 year, but it was just an absolute birdie fest. I mean, Nate Lashley got in as an alternate and then won wire to wire, going 25 under. So it's pretty open fairways. The greens are like pretty easy to hit. So honestly, these guys just have to be locked in with those mid irons that they've had the last couple of weeks. They got to be decent. I think the only maybe edge some guys could have is it's like that bent POA. So POA is like what you find in California normally. So maybe a bit of an edge there. But with such a field like this, to me, it just screams, a lot of guys last year played this and, big names and missed the cut. Like the only, I think, big name to actually do well was like Patrick Reed, who finished 5th. Like Hideki finished like top 20, but everyone else kind of either missed the cut or DJ missed the cut last year. Not that he's playing this week, but it's a weird one. So I think this is a great GPP week personally to take a lot of shots down the board. I personally think a long shot's going to win. I mean, Bryson, everyone says Bryson should win. He probably should. From a betting perspective, I'll just say I have no interest in betting Bryson at 6.5 to 1. That's like crazy number to me. But not that he shouldn't win, but I'm just saying that seems kind of wild. So yeah, I just think you kind of maybe eat the chalk up top with guys like Bryson Hovland, and then I think a lot of these guys I think I'm targeting who have played maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks and are maybe finding some form but are cheaper, I think are kind of who I'm going to be targeting for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very weak field.
Weird field.
You can find my betting card is set up like a true barbell effect this week. I am taking a couple shots that I normally wouldn't take up top. I personally don't like betting, call it 20 to 1 and under. And right now I've got Hovland and Hideki is kind of like top tier bets. I threw in Ricky there for a little bit of I don't want to watch golf all weekend. Then again, it is. I forgot it's a holiday weekend. So I probably won't be watching any golf. I forgot about that. But you know what I'm saying? I don't want to see Ricky on every freaking commercial and me not have any exposure. We'll get into that a little bit later because, to be honest, dude, it's the most tilting thing ever. And then the wife will ask when she sees Ricky, at 12 under going into Sunday, how much Ricky did you play? And I'm not going to sit there and say I didn't play any Ricky because what's going to happen. He's played awful. We'll get into that, but I do like Ricky this week for a variety of reasons. All right, as always, let's get into what the people want. Even though they can't see us, Sam, shit, I could be sitting here butt-ass naked right now for all intents and purposes. Usually we do this podcast at night, but it's like, I don't know about you in Chicago, but it is starting to heat up. It's going to get hot this week in Detroit. It's hot right now outside. I got my windows open. Usually the AC's on, but Hovland at $10,000 all the way up to DeChambeau. Totally agreed DeChambeau for betting. It's really tough to make that outright bet, but cash games, I think there are going to be people that just play DeChambeau this week in cash games. I really do, because this field weak. I do, as always, think that's a mistake. I am always the guy that says don't really play anybody $5K and above, $5,000, $10,000 and above. But this week, man, I might start my main roster with Hovland. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm like 98% sure on that. And the way I look at it is he's mega hot. I hate using the word he's due. He should hit value. I mean, even if he doesn't win the tournament and come top 3, I mean, just looking at the stats are Hovland. Obviously, it's no secret at this point. That's why I'm so mad at myself for not playing him at freaking 7,800 last week. I mean, we've talked about him in the past. He's got Rory light in his body. I mean, maybe he can turn out to be something special down the road. I'm probably starting with Hovland this week in my cash games. As far as GPPs, I'll get my take in a second. Where are you at up in this range?
Yeah, I agree totally. Hovland's well start cash as well. I wouldn't have a problem going to Hideki in general, because we just know how good he is. He looked terrible 2 weeks ago when he made his debut, but I'm not really going to hold that against him per se. I think he has the ability to go and shoot 60 out here, 62 or whatever it is, and just all of a sudden storm this field. I'm not sure if I want to go there in cash just because he looks such an unknown, but I agree. I like Hovland in cash. I don't mind Patrick Reed. Once we always say, I mean, now that he had like 2 miscuts or a miscut and then like whatever performance, people hate him again, so no one's going to play him. I think Patrick Reed is honestly, besides Bryson, my favorite GPP play of the week. I got to say, people, I know I'm going to get DMs in Discord especially. I even put a disclaimer in my article. I did not write up Bryson because I did not feel there was a need to. He is absolutely, unequivocally the best play on the board. I don't care if it comes out to bite me and he misses the cut. Time. He is the best player, and that's not even a question. There's not a reason to talk about him. He's so elite. 6 straight top 8s, and the fact he hasn't won is crazy. That's all I need to say. Like, he's really, really good. And that's all there is.
Yeah,
there's nothing else.
It would be pretty much embarrassing if anybody actually seriously called you out for that, because I totally agree. At this point, you don't even need to write up Bryson. I mean, and frankly, it's like with Rory. I mean, half the time, like, duh. You know what I mean? Like, okay.
Yeah, it's like he's good at driving. He's good at irons. Good putter.
Here's my quick 2 cents. Now, for you 20 max entry folks, there's a handful of them. Just take this with a grain of salt, because I'll probably have exposure to most of these guys. This is, to me, the first week of the season where it's so easy as far as what I want to do in my 3 lineups. I'm playing Hovland in my main lineup. Of course, I'm playing Bryson in one of my other lineups. And you kind of stole the thunder from me. I mean, he's going to be lower owned, not low owned, Sam. Don't get mad at me. He's going to be lower owned compared to everybody else. But to me, it's the easiest play of all these guys. Take the notes down, everybody who's listening. It's Hideki. It's not even close. Hideki's not going to get any talk because he missed the cut, didn't he, last time out? He's kind of been MIA, so to speak. He looked horrible. If you look at his stats, I mean, they were pretty horrible. But, dude, who cares? I mean, my God, it's golf. It was, 2 rounds. Patrick Reed, I agree with you. But, Hatton, come on. I'm not paying 10-7 for Hatton. I'm hearing some industry love and I get it. Whatever. Webb, he won us all the monies a couple of weeks ago. This actually is a Webb course. I'm not mad at anyone that goes there, but I'm talking on an ownership game. It's so easy. I mean, it's Hideki, and frankly, I think I'm going to pair. I'm just telling you guys right now. I'll probably pair Bryson and Hideki. I don't think many lineups are going to start like that, and that right there gets me unique with Bryson. I'm trying to find a way to get a little bit different with Bryson. I think when people make Bryson lineups, they're going to go down to, there's a lot of guys in that 8K range will get there, but I think it's going to be so common. I'd rather have a guy that's going to be 12% owned with mega upside. And you hear some of these Donald Ross comparisons. I mean, if you run simulations that were partnered with the Fantasy National, Sam, I don't know if you actually split the difference for Donald Ross designs. And it's kind of awesome just to look at, whoa, Hideki just, he legit pops off the map. It's not even close. So that's an easy play for me. And frankly, if Hideki ejects, I'm not even going to be mad because I get the ownership. It's the right play, and I'll move on with my life. All right, I'm going to go back to you from Sungjae. We'll go down to, let's stop it at, I can't even pronounce his name. No, you know what? Yeah, let's stop it at Bezenhut. I don't even think that's right, but I know you like that guy a little bit.
You've mispronounced the easiest names on the planet, and you got that one. Unbelievable.
Oh, wow.
Unbelievable, really. Yeah, I think this is where you differentiate. And my article went up about an hour before we're recording this in the afternoon, went up a little bit ago. So I'll let you talk on Ricky. I'm never really on Finau, and I'm not paying up for a guy now by $1,000 who's not gained an approach since the COVID break ended. I have no interest in Finau whatsoever, and he's going to be 20% owned. I'm going to go back to Bubba, and here's why. Bubba just missed the cut at a course that he has dominated for the last 8 years. Everyone now thinks he sucks. He's kind of high-priced, but the fact that he just missed the cut here last year and last week, and actually is a great pull putter, I think he's going to be under 10% owned, and I like him as a GPP play. The next guy I'm going to play, and God, I hate playing him, is Kevin Na. Dude, last week, he's the kind of guy who, like, when his irons get on and he just starts making literally, because think about this field. This is similar to, like, the John Deere Classic or the Greenbrier, right? The field kind of sucks. Some guy's going to go nuts low and go like 24 under par and win. That's like how Kevin Na has won tournaments. He doesn't win in good fields. He's pretty annoying. He'll probably withdraw now that I'm playing him. I think Kevin Na is an awesome GPP play, and I don't think he'll be 15% owned either. I'll go back to you. Other than my last hot take is I am not playing Doc Redman. I can't play. I mean, dude, he's really good. Like, I get it. He's really, really good. Last week, he was like 6,700.
Yeah, I mean,
dude, I have him projected right now at 20%.
He's another one that I'm mad because I was tinkering with playing with him in my main lineup. I don't do that every week. I really don't get mad at myself about lineups. I actually talk about that for the last few years in our Discord chats. It's like, you can't be reactive. You can't look back, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I was kind of pissed last week, even though I actually won and had a really good week. But I'll probably take that sip of Kool-Aid this week. I know what you mean. I mean, again, Sam, here's my quick 2 cents to you on this. The way I'm looking at Doc Redman is, I personally, if I were you, I wouldn't overthink it in cash games. I mean, I think it's probably fair chalk this week. I get the price, but if you look at the price increases, this is why you need to take that out the window. I mean, everybody, like, you talking about Hovland. I mean, Kevin Na was 7,100 last week. Scotty Scheffler was 76. It's just the field. So I actually thought he was going to be closer to 9. I mean, if he was around 8, he'd be an absolute mega chalk. I think you just got to play it. I mean, the stats are there. I will say, when I read your article, you got me thinking about Bubba. I'm actually interested in that now for tournaments. I agree with you on Finau. I didn't want to play him on my main roster. I usually don't tinker too much. I have some time this week, I told you earlier, so I was looking at things more, which hopefully doesn't hurt me. But, I started putting Finau in my main roster. And then I was like, you know what? I'm looking at the same stats you are saying. Like, I'm not playing this guy. There's over 4 inches of rough. Finau is not the type of player that, if he's not accurate, I don't care how good you are. Like, you're not going to score well. And that was honestly one of the premises, especially with his approach shots look awful right now. But again, he's going to be chalk in cash games. People are going to go there because he scores on par 5, yada, yada, yada. I do want to say Sung Jae might get somewhat overlooked this week, so I'm kind of evaluating that. It is Sung Jae. I mean, he kind of has hurt people the last few weeks. Ricky is more of an ownership game theory. I'm not going to come on here and talk about stats with him because they've looked awful. He's changed his swing a bit. But it's Ricky, man. I mean, his whole career, he kind of just shows up when you least expect it. He's like Kisner in a way, a little bit, I feel like, just a lot better historically. And even though he did not place well here last year, this means nothing again stat-wise, but I'm going to say it anyways. If you look back at all his sponsorships with the Rocket Mortgage, I forget where they played before, he's actually always fared well. And it's not like him out west. I forget what that sponsorship is off the top of my head, but he struggles out west. He does fine here. I mean, I don't know if it's a mental thing being on the East Coast, but I'm going back to Ricky because he's going to be low owned. I'm 100% going there. And in fact, game theory-wise, if you want to note, I'm starting a main roster with Ricky. Like, I feel like you can just avoid a lot of these guys up top, but the key is not starting with a Finau. People are going to get cute and be like, all right, well, I'll start with Finau. It's like, okay, dude, well, so will 35% of other rosters that kind of like just build a balanced build. I think if you start with Ricky, at least you're somewhat a little bit more contrarian. And then the last guy I'll mention that
go ahead.
The last game I want to mention, and I don't like the Vegas odds right now. That is kind of scary. I don't know if Vegas is trying to tell me something, but I really like the actual real good Rory 17, who I play all the time. I mean, he finished third here last year. He's trending well. His stats look okay. You filter by Donald Ross. He obviously crushes, blah, blah, blah. 8,800 obviously looks expensive to him. I don't like how Vegas is pricing him in. That does concern me because I weight that a lot in my models. But I am considering Rory the GOAT in cash.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I will say, I'll go back to what I was going to say originally. Yeah, I think he'll be owned, but I'm hoping people get scared away by the price tag, because it is like when you think about Roy Sabatini and paying 8,800, you're like, that is egregious. Like,
it's scary.
I agree with you, dude. It's funny. Like, I prefer, in general, like this week, like, I would rather play Sabatini than Scheffler.
Yeah, I mean Scheffler. If you look at some of the data stuff, Scheffler probably obviously is the more quote unquote optimal play. But I don't know, man. Sometimes you just got to make decisions, and I'm kind of in agreement with you there.
In my opinion, going back on what you said on how to get different, yeah, I really like the idea of starting Ricky. I mean, I think basically, if you don't start your lineup with Hovland or DeChambeau, you'll probably be a little different. Like, I think that allows you the different you need. Yeah. And please do not play them together. Oh my God, that will be so owned. Do not do that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like honestly, in cash games, especially this week, we never recommend playing guys that high. But yeah, I mean, it's probably not the worst thing if you want to roll out like a Bryson Hovland stack. No, I mean, there's going to be cheap, let's be real. There's going to be cheap guys this week that spike. I mean, and we'll get to that here in a second. Let's move on so we can kind of get down that way, because the shoe really falls off. Excuse me. Hadwin at 8,200, and let's stop at a chalkier Harold Varner III, who we don't even need to talk about. I think Harold Varner is going to be freaking owned a lot. I like him. I had an outright bet on him. I actually just didn't assume that he'd be so popular early Monday, but here we are. He'll be popular. Hadwin, I think, probably will get ownership, I would assume, right? I mean, I like Hadwin a lot.
I think Hadwin's going to be a top 5 owned on the slate. And I don't even know why, honestly. I don't mind Hadwin. I don't know, like, what makes him so. I guess it's just the strength of field. I don't know why he's going to be so owned.
Again, to be fair, like, I wonder the same thing, but yet in my current main lineup, he's on my lineup, and I kept wondering, why is he in my main lineup? But honestly, he fits, man. Like, there's just not many guys. Like, let's be real. We're having a good time in this podcast, but like, we'll drop down here. You tell me, dude. Be playing in this range, like, for real.
I mean, I like EVR. I'm shocked that Eric Van Rooyen is getting talked up. It's a weird one to me. Unfortunately, a couple like guys I respect in the industry, like a couple, I guess, call them touts, have talked about him, which is unfortunate. But I think interesting. I'll go back to Brian Harman because I'm just like to be punished by Brian Harman. I'll play Varner. And then, I don't know, I'm surprised. My projected ownership right now on Sneds is like 12%, just because he's a good player. Because he's won at I think it's Sedgefield he won. He's won at least one on Donna Ross. So I like Sneds, but honestly, like, I don't have a ton of interest in that range we just gave. I mean, Kisner looks off. Brandon Grace, no. I'm not going back to Brennan Todd.
These guys do make for good 20-map century plays. Like, I like Kisner. I didn't mention Jason Day earlier. Jason Day is going to be 5% owned. He always is now at this point. So I feel like you just always need to be playing a few of these guys sprinkled in your 20-map centuries, because the only way to win those things and win $100,000 is like have one or two of those guys who I promise you will hit throughout this calendar year. Like, all it takes is once. In the golf GPP world, that's all it takes is 1 week, and your whole year is won. HV3, I'm playing him in cash. I mean, I thought that was going to be a slam dunk play. Apparently everybody else does too. But again, he is volatile. So like, I would never touch him right now in like a main tournament roster if I'm going there in cash. Snedeker, Sam, if you click on him and look into what he's actually done, he just skated around with the around the green in the putter last week. I'm not touching that guy at all. I think Snedeker is a trap this week. I think if people play him in cash games and they luck out, then whatever. I mean, they luck out. I think he's an awful play this week, so you can at me on Twitter if he T5s this, I guess. Before we move on,
brutal.
Like Alex Noren. You like Alex Noren? I always like Alex Noren. I feel like I always play him.
I'm an Alex Noren fan, but he has just looked like shit for so long. He actually looked a little better recently. Yeah. I'll give him that. I don't know, dude. I'm more
interested. This whole range is trash.
I'm more interested. This, I don't know. I love the bottom 7K range. It's like my
let's go to that. Yeah. Start reeling them off. Let's hear it.
All right, so one guy I'm going to, which is hilarious for me to even say on this podcast, dude, Scott Stallings has looked good.
Ooh, I'm playing him in one of my main lineups. That's check mark with that one.
Yeah, dude, Stallings, I wrote this down. I was like, so his last two events, he's gained 2.7 and 4.7 on approach. I mean, last week he finished pretty highly. I like him. I always have to mention my old high school alum, Mark Hubbard. He's looked really good. My favorite plays in this range, Munoz, he's a beast. I play him every week, so that's biased. No, the most unsexy play that no one will go to, who has looked pretty solid, is Michael Thompson. 7,100, dude. Oh, you thought I was going to say something else unsexy?
You know who you can win $100,000 with this week? He'll be 1% owned.
Not Kyle Stanley.
Siwoo Kim. Siwoo Kim came in 11th place last week. Is he not? I mean, check ownerships. I could be wrong here. I mean, this is the type of course where it's like Siwoo could just show up in top 5. What's his percent right now?
Like 4 or 5, not even, maybe less.
Yeah, I mean, talk about upside equity. Like, yes, if you want to be in Discord and yell at myself or Sam or whatever, you can yell at me when he's +7 after like 4 holes, but there is the outside chance that Siwoo's like 9 under going into, Saturday. Par 5 scoring. I mean, he fits the Donald Ross design historically. And the fact that like he finally stopped his miscut swing last week. I mean, it's not like saying he's trending or anything, but I don't know. I thought that was interesting. There's a lot of chalk.
The hill I'm going to die on this week is Tyler Duncan. I think he's going to win.
Yeah, I'm on that too. It was good to see you write him up because that affirmed what I was looking at. I don't really, to be fair, I don't know much about Tyler Duncan. I've never played him in DFS. I don't even think he'll be that high owned, but he's trending, in my models. So I'll play Tyler Duncan.
Granted, it was a terrible field. This is a terrible field. So
I didn't know he won. Wow, that's interesting.
I'll play. I mean, dude, you saw me. I know, like, I wasn't even. My one thing I put in Bet Karma was that I thought your Kyle Stanley bet was terrible, which is funny because I used to bet Kyle Stanley too. But
he is terrible.
I have him trending for over 10% ownership. No way with that. That's
and horrible. The fact that happened. And again, am I happy about that bet? I don't care. It was like what, $20? I did. I feel like this card this week. It's like if it's not Bryson or a Hideki or something or Ricky, like someone random is going to win this tournament. So that's why I wanted to put a couple 100-to-1 guys on there. And then I saw the industry talking about Kyle Stanley, and I was like, there's no way I'm playing Kyle Stanley in cash games. Like zero, none, finito. So he's going to be
playing Kyle Stanley in cash. Dude, oh my God!
I'd rather play Sam Burns in cash, honestly. Like, what's the difference? Sam Burns has more upside, honestly, at this point. Sam Burns can at least score more. Kyle Stanley will keep you. Here's what's going to happen. Kyle Stanley will linger. Your heart will be like, okay, he's there, he's got it, and then he'll tank late on Friday. And like, that's what Kyle Stanley would do.
Out.
So we're kind of on some of the same guys. Tom Hoagie's down here at 7,000. I mean, he's a good ball striker. I was looking at him because I didn't know if Duncan would get ownership, and like nobody ever plays Tom Hoagie. We've talked about him in the past. How about let's just mention this guy's name, Sung Yul No. I mean, this dude has talent.
Dude, you'll know he's a beast, except he's not.
Hey, dude. I know his stats didn't look great last week, but we do need to monitor him. I mean, he came in 11th. Like, we got to give credit at the end of the day. Like, the guy's been MIA for a few years now, right?
My probably favorite 2 guys in 6K, Cheston Hadley's stats are deceivingly good. Like, I know I'm gonna play him, and I know it's a trap too. But like,
I didn't even know he was in this field until you said that, and I've played him a lot in the past. I
Dude,
like that I like following him on Twitter. He's a good follow. He's always tweeting about Bojangles. Like, he loves going to Bojangles.
That's wow. He's 6th in ball striking, 18th in approach, 11th in birdie or better, 33rd opportunities. I mean, he's a terrible putter, terrible or short game, but 6,800 make the cut. How about a Duff Daddy dude who's terrible but has made 7 straight cuts? Just thought you should know.
No, save the Duff Daddy for fucking the Memorial. I mean, trust
he's
me.
winning. Yeah, he's winning the Memorial. That's true.
Oh my God, the Duff hasn't missed a cut since January. Wow, wait a second.
I'm telling you, dude, 7 straight.
I might have to do some more digging here. The problem is I hate playing him because even if he's in contention, he doesn't want to be in contention, and I don't like that. Like, he doesn't want to win. I don't understand what his deal is. I mean, I got to look into his stats, though. I cannot believe all these cuts he's made, to be honest. I thought it was going to be like a slew of.
Yeah, he's just been average, and then as usual, his short game is just abysmal. But
let me rapid fire like a few names. And honestly, these names could trend throughout the industry a little bit, but there's so many weird dudes down here that I guarantee you nobody's going to be popular. So, yes, Matthew Wolf's down here. I mean, I'm guessing he's going to get some ownership. I probably honestly won't play him. Like, I'll just take the other guys around here because you can't tell me Matthew Wolf and some of these other guys are any different. I mean, Lanto Griffin probably will get some ownership because people like playing Lanto Griffin. I like guys. He looked bad.
No, and so dude, Matthew Wolf. I'm a big fan of. He's like garbage.
He's looked awful. I'm not playing him. I mean, I don't care. Like, I hope that he gets to 8%. That might not sound like a lot, but in the 6K range, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So I won't touch him. I'm going to touch a guy that's even worse, but I'll pray for the best. Luke List, Aaron Wise.
Dude, please don't fall. I'm just asking you not to fall for the Wesley Bryan trap. Just because he played well as
I've never played Wesley Bryan. Just because he
was
mic'd up, people are going to play him. I mean, he did come 24th last week. Who else is down this range?
You're playing 10+ lineups, 6,500. Cam Davis, lock it in, made cut.
Yeah, I saw him spike in my models, and honestly, I didn't even know who he was. And he's missed 2 cuts in a row, but that was interesting.
I'm glad you brought him up. He sucks at putting. That's the kind of guys I like, though. Dude, Luke List, oh my God, I know I'm going to play him, and I know he's going to miss the cut. I just, it's not even, a question.
But I don't know why. Here's the thing with Luke List. Here's why I'm thinking this. First off, if people are going to play the Wolves of the world at 8%, and they're 8% owned, I hope they miss the cut. Then you just immediately – those 10% of lineups are gone. If Luke List just somehow magically makes the cut and he gets to see 8 additional par 5s, he will eagle 3 of them.
At least one.
You know what I'm saying? That's 24 points. Give me that extra. Who cares what place he comes in? That honestly, that's my logic. Call it dumb, call it freaking whatever. But if Luke List makes the cut, which he can, this field is not. He just won a few weeks ago in the Corn Ferry Tour. I know it's a Corn Ferry Tour.
Yeah.
But this is a Corn Ferry Tour type of. Why is he 6,700? That's all I got to say. Luke List should be at least in the 7,000s. I mean, he literally just won. You're telling me Brian Stewart? I know Brian Stewart's getting some love. There's Joseph Brandlett, dude, Wes Roach, Will Gordon,
Brian
Chris Kirk.
Stewart is getting love from me. Come on, I'm the one.
Yeah, I know. He does like this area. I actually considered him in cash games, so I'm not talking down on him too much because I might play him. But Brian Stewart is just going to barely eke out a top 45.
I think
want
the
to
last
win.
I think the last 2 guys I consider in this range. I don't know why. Danny Willett, I never play. I don't like him, but he's the top 50 player in the world, and he's 6,600. Matt Wallace, 6,700. I mean, if you want darts and a 20 max, I mean, their long-term talent is better than freaking Kevin Chappell, who's completely lost, or definitely better than Bo Hostler. Bo Hostler is so bad. He's terrible.
He's the worst. He did win 2 years ago. Was it last year or 2 years ago? I don't even know or care. We kind of spent a lot of time in the low 7K range, 6K range. We never do this, but again, this week is a little different with the weak field. So hopefully we addressed some names you guys can plug together. We'll do what we did the last few weeks, Sam. So we'll end this podcast on you selecting a golfer that's essentially not in the top 20-1 range. I'll give one of my picks. Like I said, I gave a bet karma. But if you want the rest of the picks, I'm going for 3 in a row this week. You got to head over to that chat room in specific. So what is your bet of the week? Let's call it, give us one top 20 bet of the week and one to win under the radar.
Dude, T Dunks, 150-1. Find the putter, kid. Find the damn putter and you will win. Top 20. I swear to God, if you give the top 20, you're going to give them, I'm going to lose my mind. Top 20, value. Dude, I don't know. I really kind of like Sam Burns top 20. I think Sam Burns is really good.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. I think he's cash play. I think Sam Burns is cash playable this week for sure. So to finish on my end, my top 20, and this is like favorable odds. It's Rory Sabatini. I mean, I think you get a nice little payday. Something that we've been talking more about in our Discord chats is, at the end of the day, if you're spending, say, $100 in these heads-up games, which cash games, whatever, you're losing 20% to rake. I mean, you can get far better payout with Rory Sabatini top 20 bet this week, just in any of your sports books. I don't know if the lines are moving, but I got a good bet in on early